Okay, let's just dive right in. When you think about ancient religious stuff, you probably picture dusty old relics, right? Things from a world that's long gone. But what if one of them, and get this, it's just a simple desert tent, what if it was actually a key, a symbolic blueprint for understanding the end of the world itself? Today, we're unlocking the secrets of the tabernacle.
I know, it sounds like a real stretch, doesn't it? How can a portable tent from thousands of years ago possibly connect to these huge cosmic visions of the apocalypse? Well, believe it or not, this isn't some modern theory somebody cooked up. The connection is actually baked right into the source material.
There it is, right there in the book of Revelation, the very last book of the New Testament. It explicitly uses the language of the tabernacle to describe its final, ultimate vision for the future. So what that's telling us is, if you want to understand the end goal, you've got to go back and understand the original blueprint.
So, to really get our heads around this connection, we need to get to the absolute heart of what the tabernacle was all about. It wasn't just a church or a temple, it was this profound statement, a physical model of a spiritual reality.
This right here is the single most important concept. Everything, every detail, every ritual, every single piece of furniture, it all points back to this one central idea, creating a space where the divine and the human can actually meet, where they can coexist. It's like a symbolic bridge between two completely different realms.
And look, the book of Exodus just spells it right out for us. The whole point isn't just for people to go visit God, it's for God to dwell among the people. That idea of divine communion, of togetherness, that's the engine driving all the symbolism we're about to unpack.
All right, so to really understand this blueprint, we're going to take a little tour. We're going to move from the outside in, just like a priest would have done back then. We'll kick things off in the outer court, then move into the holy place, and finally, we'll enter the most sacred space of all, the Holy of Holies. Okay, let's start our journey. So before you can even get inside the tent itself, you have to pass through the outer court. This space isn't really about fellowship just yet. It's all about setting the ground rules, the conditions you have to meet to even get close to a holy God. And in this area, you've got two objects that spell out those conditions loud and clear. First, the altar of burnt offering. This symbolizes that sin has to be paid for through a sacrifice. Second, you have the laver, which was this big basin of water. This represents what the source calls the washing of regeneration, basically, a spiritual deep clean you need before you can go any further. So the message is powerful and simple. First, you deal with the sin, then you get clean. Okay, so once those conditions were met, a priest could finally pass through that first curtain into what's called the holy place. Now, if the outer court was all about God's requirements for us, this room is all about our response to Him. What's our part in this relationship? So inside, you've got these three key items, and each one tells a part of the human side of the story. You have the table of showbread, representing the 12 tribes of Israel, always presented before God. Then there's the golden candlestick, which symbolized their mission to be a light to the rest of the world. And finally, right before the last veil, the altar of incense, representing the prayers of the people rising up to God. And this brings us to the very heart of it all, the center of the entire blueprint. Behind one last, thick veil lies the most sacred space imaginable, the Holy of Holies. This is it, the symbolic presence chamber of God Himself. So, what's inside? Well, you've got the Ark of the Covenant, and inside it are the stone tablets with the 10 Commandments. The source describes them as a monumental witness against sin. So, think about it like this. The box literally holds the evidence of humanity's failure to live up to God's perfect standard. It represents judgment. But, and this is a huge but, the Ark isn't left open. Placed right on top of it is a solid gold lid called the mercy seat. Now, the original Hebrew word for this, kaporeth, it means an expiatory covering, something that atones for or cancels out what's underneath it. So what you get is this incredible, powerful picture. You've got the law, which brings judgment and wrath, sealed inside the ark. But what God sees when He looks down isn't the judgment. He sees the golden mercy seat, sprinkled with the blood of atonement. It is, quite literally, a picture of mercy covering wrath. Okay, so we've taken the tour. We've seen the journey from the outer court all the way to the inner sanctum. Now, let's tie this all back to where we started, to that vision of the end of the world. How on earth does this little tent become a giant cosmic city? Well, the clue is in its geometry. And here it is. This is the key detail that's so easy to miss. The dimensions of that most holy place, the symbolic room where God dwelt, it formed a perfect cube, equal in length, width, and height. In the ancient world, that shape meant one thing: perfection.
And boom, this is the final connection. When the Apostle John describes his vision of the New Jerusalem, the city where God finally dwells with humanity forever, he uses the exact same geometry. The city is a perfect cube. The Holy of Holies wasn't just a room, it was a scale model of the ultimate perfect reality to come.
So you see how the architecture of a simple tent provided the symbolic language for an entire cosmic destiny? Which kind of leaves us with one last thought, doesn't it? If an ancient blueprint could hold that much power, what are the underlying blueprints, the symbols, the stories, the structures that are shaping our vision of the world and our future today?